Hi loves, welcome back to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to drop this beautiful gown. Do subscribe to the channel, share to friends, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Hi guys, so this is for my front piece. That's the first one I dropped it out. Okay, so before then I left about 4 inches fixing before starting up my pattern. And this is what I have. This is just the normal basic body, your shoulder, armhole slope, shoulder slope, armhole curve, the bust measurements, the waist. That is just what we need. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be from this point now, we're going to come down to about 4 to 5 inches. Let's just say 4 inches. Okay, this is for your neck depth. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and curve, make a curve around this area. And this is what I have. Having done this now, I'm going to come to this shoulder slope I have here, and I'm going to come in by 2 inches. So from this point now, I'm coming in by 2 inches. So this 2 inches, and I'm going to extend it upwards using about 3 to 4 inches. Okay, let's say 4 inches here. So from here, I'm going to extend this 2 inches I came in by to 4 inches. That is what which I have here. The same thing here, I'm also going to extend it. Okay, and this is what we have. Now I'm going to be connecting it using this rule. Definitely it's going to be coming out in a slant form. So this is what we're going to be having. So this is what it's going to look like. So having done this now, I'm going to go ahead and retrace my armhole. Okay, so my armhole now is going to come this way. I'm going to be retracing my armhole from this point I came in by 2 inches. I'm going to retrace it into my armhole curve. So that is what I'm going to go ahead to do now. So that's what I'm going ahead to do. So basically, yeah, this part is going off. We are not working with it again. So this is the area we're going to be working with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So now if I want to cut out the back piece, depending on how deep you want yours to be, you can want yours to be at your chest line, you can want yours to go more deeper. Okay, so for mine, it's going to be stopping at my chest line. So for my back piece, this is what I'm going to have. So my back piece is going to start from here to this point. I'm not going to be working with this area. And another thing about my back piece is I'm going to be adding a few inches from this center point outward, like 1.5 inch to 2 inches for my zipper allowance or zip allowance. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut this piece out. So guys, this is what we have. Now I'm also going to cut out this piece, this part. Oh. Please note, you can still decide to make your neck more deeper. You can just still decide to bring it up a little. The choice is totally yours. So we're going to be using this to work on our fabric. But before then, we'll talk about the down part of the gown. Alright, that's the skirt piece of the gown. So guys, I'm going to be using this pattern paper. It's on a fold actually. I'm going to be using it to cut out my skirt part of the gown. Alright, so first thing first, I'm going to be marking my zip allowance, which I will fold in eventually. So my zipper allowance is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it all the way down to the bottom of the pattern paper. Alright. So guys, having done this now, the next thing I'm going ahead to do is at this upper part, I'm going to be inserting my waist measurements. Please note, you're going to be using the same waist measurements you use for the half length, that is the upper part of the gown. That is what you're still going to be working with here. Then you insert your 2 inches, or you can decide to use 1.5 if you think it's going to be too big. That means I'm also going to reduce the seam allowance I use for the other parts. Okay, Then for our hip measurements, from the waist measurements, you mark not 9 inches. That is where your hip measurements will lie. So my hip is 9.5. I think so. Plus my seam allowance. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and insert my seam allowance. My pattern paper is not enough, so I'm going to skip that part. So this is what I'm going to have. So basically, yeah, I'm not going to be inserting any seam allowance to the waist. All right, so when I'm transferring to my fabric, I'm going to insert my seam allowance. So for now, I'm just using my actual body measurements for this. So this is my 7.25 and this is my 9.5 inches hip measurement. Okay, so from there now I'm going to curve it down to the bottom of our gown. So if you think this is too pencil, what you have to do is you adjust. So this is what I have, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. All right, so I'll do that quickly. So we are cutting both the front piece and this back piece together. All right, so this is what we have. All right, now the main work starts. Like the front piece has a curve, same with the back piece. Like we have a curve that is coming from the back towards the front or from the front towards the back piece. Okay, so first and first I'm going to fold in this zip allowance I have here to cut out my front piece. I'm going to go ahead and fold this inwards. Use my pattern paper. So I'm going to be using this to cut out my front piece first. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to be doing now before we transfer to our fabric, alright, so we're going to be marking out where our slit, because it has a side slit with some flounce at that point. So first of all, you're going to note where you want yours to be. You can decide to kick off a few inches below the hip. You can decide to keep yours at your new. You can decide to keep it at 20. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be using 20 inches. Okay, 19 inches actually. 19.5 to 20 inches. That's what I worked with. All right. So this is where I have my 19.5 inches. All right. Then I'm going to come down to this point. This is the center of my gown, and I'm going to come out by, let's say, by 1 inch from the center. All right, so please note I folded in the zip allowance before doing this. So now from these 19 inches I'm going to be making a curve to this area. So if this is too long for you, or if you think maybe it's too down, what you have to do is you kindly just go up. All right, so this is what I'm doing. I'm connecting this to this that I have here, so the bottom part of it. Okay, so if you think like here is too up or is too down, the choice is totally yours on what you want, how you want it to be actually. So this is what I have. So this is for my front piece. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out, use it to cut out my front, then I'm going to tape this back to cut out my back piece. Just watch what I'm going to do first. I'm going to be cutting this out first. So I'm giving this aside first, and I'm going to use this pattern paper this way to cut out for my front piece. When I'm done with this, I'm going to use this same pattern paper to cut out for my back piece. But just hold on a little, don't go anywhere. This is what I have, so I'm going to be cutting this out on my fabric. But before then, remember you're going to be adding seam allowance to the side, especially this area that do not have any slits, this part and this area of your hip. Okay, please add your seam allowance unless you added your seam allowance to your pattern paper. But if not, please kindly do, to avoid shortage. Okay, so that's what I'm going ahead to do now. Adding a few inches seam allowance to my. So when you're done, you go ahead to cut it out. So guys, this is for our back piece. Now the one part of the back has a slit which runs to the front, and the other side is just normal straight. Okay, there is no slit in it. So this is that part of the back that is just straight. So I've gone ahead to open up my pattern paper. That is the zip area I folded in earlier. So what I have to do is just cut this piece out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now to cut it out, trace it out. Please mind you still add your seam allowances to it. Okay, so that's what I'm going ahead to do now. You'll be wondering why I left few inches at the bottom part of it. Reason is for seam allowances. My paper is not up to what I need, so that is why I have extra at the bottom part of it. Okay, so yeah, that is why. Alright guys, now the next part is the side that has the slit. Alright, so this is what we have. Now remember, we use this to cut out our front, so we have this here. So I'm going to be cutting out this off. Alright, so what I have to do is, please note you still add your inches to the down part of it and to the side. So this is for my zip area, so I'm not adding any extra. Then for this area, what I have to do is to cut out this part, okay? Because so that it will be understandable, we'll be able to understand it. Now if you're wondering why I'm leaving few inches, I'm not cutting it directly with the one we have already. Reason is I'm adding few inches for my seam allowance. Okay, because we're going to still have a joining of a flounce to it. Alright, so that is why we have the extra. So this is what we have. Okay, so this is what we have for the side that has the slits. And for this area, I'm going to add at least some inches on my hip and the waist part. So this is what I have for this. Okay, so guys, the next thing we're going to be working on now is the front piece. Okay, remember our front piece is having a cowl neck in front. Now I'm going to slit this. This is my chest line. I'm going to be making a slit at that point. So I'm not going to cut it off entirely. I'm going to be leaving a few inches. So this is what I have, and I'm going to be opening it up this way. So I'm going to be placing this on my folded fabric for my front. So guys, this is what we have for our front. Okay, I've gone ahead to place it on my fabric. So time to cut it out. So I'm placing this to this. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off. And now from here, I'm going to be cutting this area. And I'm going to cut out the sides too. So this is what I have. So guys, this is what it looks like when I open it up. It's looking, we don't know. So what you have to do is, this is what it's going to look like. Alright. So this is what you're going to have. Now you're going to be adding extra inch in material to form a strap that is going to go to the back. So this is what we have. Alright. Okay. So note, if you notice, like maybe the depth of your own neck, this area is too tight or is too up for you, what you just have to do is you dip in it. Like I think I used 4 inches for this, so you can go ahead and use like 5 to 6 inches if you want it to become in more. So but I worked with 4 inches for this. Guys, for my back piece, so all I have to do is to cut out this part. So I'm done using this. This is for my back piece. Now I'm going to be adding few inches here for my zipper allowance. Okay, so just get the fabric, fold it into two. So this is what I have. I think I wasted my material. Please remember a few inches for your zip. Take note of that, it's very important. Okay, so this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and knot it to signify that this is where my zip will be. So for this back piece, you can go ahead and cut out a lining for it, or you can decide to pipe it. Alright, so this is what we have for it. So guys, at this point now, I've gone ahead to pipe. This is my front piece. I've piped it, and this is what I have. Okay, this is the piping. The next thing I went ahead to do was to join it to the down part of my gown. That's the skirt part of the gown. Okay, so now I'm going to be sorry. Now I'm going to be joining the back pieces and the front pieces together. All right. At this point now, I'm gonna head to join both my back pieces and my front pieces together, and this is what we have. Though I've not attached my zip, right? Because I don't have a matching zip at the moment. So now this is what it looks like. This is your flounce, your cow neck, all right? So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be attaching extra inches to this part, all right, to the rope to make it more longer. So that's what I went ahead to do to cut out now, okay? So I'm going to be attaching it to this neck area to make it more longer. Now the next thing to do now is to create the flay that is going to be by the side at this area. So what you have to do is go ahead and measure what you have around here, okay? Take your measurements, whatever you have. Like I measured here, I have about 56 inches. I'm going to be using it to cut out a flounce or a flay that is going to be at the side. Guys, the next thing I went ahead to do was to draft out, like mark my flounce. I'm going to be dropping a link on how to achieve this flounce. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I used 5 inches bold. You can decide to use more than 5 inches. Alright. At this point now, I'm done with my flounce. I'm going ahead to hem the bottom part of it. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to be doing is to attach it to the slit area. Now I have excess flounce. The reason I did it because I want it to have a little volume. Okay, so I'm going to be gathering it. I'm going to gather it, then attach it at this slit area. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go ahead to do now. So this now, I'm going to be fixing my flounce on it. Since I have enough extra, I'm going to go ahead and pleat. All right. So guys, when I'm done, this is what I have. This is the slit area and flounce, what it looks like. All right. Then this is our cowl neck stroke, the sleeve area. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next tutorial.